Crushing fitness adaptations is possibly the biggest mistake many recreational and amateur road cyclists make in training. And in this video today, I'm going to be sharing with you how not to crush fitness adaptations and what that might look like on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis in your training. Before we get into it, just know that this video is section 2 of 3 sections we've got in a free online video training called The Number 1 Mistake Cyclists Make in Training Broken Down. So if you get value from this video today, you can register for that free training below. Let's get into it. Don't crush fitness adaptations. To set the scene for this one, another quick story for you here from an RCA member named Julian, another European member from Ireland. Julian's background before joining the RCA was soccer, and every one of his training sessions when he was playing soccer used to be hard. So when Julian got into cycling many years later, he took that mentality of training hard, training too hard too often, into cycling. And as a result of that, he hit a performance plateau, roughly 18 months to 2 years into his cycling journey. In fact, Julian would pick a random high-intensity interval training session almost every time he got on the bike. The net result, Julian hit a performance plateau of around 280 watts, which I know for a lot of people, I'll take that. 280 watts is a nice FTP, but for him, he felt like he had more to give. And after sitting on this performance plateau for some time, he felt inspired to transition to a new way of training. This is what Julian had to say.
One thing that I loved about the program is just how important the hard sessions are, such as the hill sessions. I think those hill sessions are a plus and are like the working muscle fibers. The base rides, obviously, learn how to train on your base. The base is such an important period of your training, and I didn't take it serious before. I used just to go out and basically I wasn't training. And yeah, it's just teaching me how to train smarter.
What was really interesting to hear Julian say there proactively is how important the hard sessions are, which he alluded to with the hill repeat session. And he also talked about putting base training sessions or wedging zone 2, proper base training sessions into his overall plan. So no longer was he riding too hard too often. He was riding with a focus, a strategic focus with zone 2 training, but also having the freshness to tackle these proper hard rides. The net result, Julian had an FTP increase.
Up to 311, which
wow.
I'm pretty happy with. I lost a lot of weight as well.
So how did Julian do it, or how can you do it? Let's split this section as well into 2 parts. Part number 1, we'll talk about why to respect and not crush fitness adaptations. And we'll talk about how to respect and not crush fitness adaptations. So, the why. Let me ask you a simple multiple choice question. When will you become fitter? A, during a training session. B, during the next training session. Or C, during recovery and or rest. It's recovery and or rest, of course. The body will essentially repair itself and adapt to the stimulus 24, 48 hours, or even longer after it's been damaged. How long the body needs to recover will depend on the individual and the intensity or volume of the session completed. But the more damage you do to your body, the more recovery you will need. So if you want to truly recognize physical stress as fitness adaptations, you must respect rest and recovery. Think of it like this. The workout is the ticket to greater fitness adaptations, but the rest and recovery period is where you actually become fitter. So if you train hard on top of damaged microscopic tears in your muscle fibers that are inflamed from hard training sessions that get a rise out of the lactate system, how is your body supposed to repair itself in an optimal way? It's like putting up the levels to a house in a rush. Before concrete has properly set, the load-bearing walls are in place, you need patience, otherwise the levels will start to crumble. So that is the why. You must not ride too hard too often and crush fitness adaptations. What about the how to respect and not crush fitness adaptations? So we discussed this scenario when talking about base training, and that is a week could look like this. Monday rest, Tuesday high intensity, Wednesday zone 2 aerobic training, Thursday high intensity training, Friday zone 2 aerobic training or maybe zone 1 recovery ride, Saturday high intensity training, Sunday once again zone 2 or it could be another zone 1 recovery ride. And what we're doing here is essentially wedging rest, recovery rides and zone 2 rides in between our hard rides. Meaning we're not putting excess stress on the system 24 hours after we've gone hard. We're waiting at least 48 hours before that next hard session. Now keep in mind, with our zone 2 training, that can be stressful too, particularly if you're adding a lot of volume, i.e. 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in the saddle at zone 2 and constant pressure on the cranks. So please keep that in mind, and that is why often I speak to many of the athletes at the Road Cycling Academy and I'll say, if you've done a really hard Saturday bunch ride and you fatigue, don't go ride in zone 2 the next day for 2-3 hours. Instead, let's go for a 60 to 90 minute cruise in zone 1, which is called your active recovery zone, which would be roughly 50 to 55% of your functional threshold power. And by doing that, we're going to be pushing oxygenated blood and nutrients into damaged working muscles, which will help clear byproducts accumulated from hard riding and essentially fast track or even hack the recovery process. So keep those recovery rides in mind. You should also keep in mind, and this is very important, that every 3rd or 4th week, I like to go every 3rd week, you back off both the intensity and the volume of riding you're doing to allow a greater level of recovery for at least 7 days, and thus an ability to absorb the 2 to 3 weeks of physical stress you've put the system under. An easier week could look like this. Monday could be rest, Tuesday a recovery ride, Wednesday zone 2 ride, Thursday could be a social or group ride, or maybe you go to your local benchmark Strava com and see what you can do on fresh legs. Friday would be a recovery ride, Saturday you could go do your local bunch ride, push it a little bit, and Sunday could be a zone 2 or a recovery ride. By doing this, you'll really freshen the body up for the next round of training. And the idea is, by freshening yourself up for the next round of training, you should be able to gradually lift the amount of physical stress that you put on your body as the weeks progress. This is called a progressive overload technique, i.e. we're gradually layering on the fitness as we progress. And as a result, we can start targeting some proper hard rides. Which brings us to opportunity number 3. A fresh physical state means you can start to train proper hard. Ever heard of something called